You are listening to Level Up Your Gaming Podcast, episode 94, Destiny and Fate. Today we talk about Destiny and Fate in games. We discuss how we don't particularly like the usage of Destiny and Fate in games. We also discuss how you could use it and pitfalls to avoid. If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribe and we'll ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome into the Level Up Your Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and joining me in person, he is destined to never like a game about Destiny, Jared.
That is true. And as a reminder to our audience, I don't have a dog. I have 3 wonderful kittens.
That's the neighbor's dog.
That's the neighbor's dog. My wife's like on the verge of calling the ASPCA because they let it out in the cold.
We don't have a soundproof studio, as you probably have.
No, we have my living room.
We got a living room, and it's filled with kittens who run around and other things that make noise. So if you ever get any background noise, we do our best to eliminate it. But barking dog aside, we will persevere. So.
But it's true. I don't like games surrounding Destiny.
Yeah. So I want to give a little shout out to 2 of our listeners who usually reply into our episodes. First, Chris, you replied in on our episode about maintaining tension in games. That was the topic that you had asked about. You wrote a very, very nice email to us about it. And I agree with you in terms of, when the players are losing track, that you gently want to kind of nudge them back in the right direction, meaning that they don't know where to go. It's not by fault of the players, but maybe you haven't directed enough information to them to tell them where to go next. Okay, and again, this is a story-based game. If you're doing something more sandboxy, that's a whole different ball of wax that we could unpack later. If your players have decided to burn the world down, okay, there is nothing that I would do to rectify that game. Okay, no. Your players have directly told you that they don't want to be a part of that game. Okay?
Or that they don't want to listen to that story.
They don't want to listen to that story. They're doing things, maybe they are doing things to maybe push you as a storyteller. Maybe they're trying to challenge you for some reason. Maybe, I've seen that come up before where players will directly do things to challenge the GM effectively, not in I'm trying to challenge you to become a better GM, but challenge you as maybe there's a battle of superiority trying to go on there at the table.
I've seen it.
It does happen. If your players start doing crazy stuff, that's typically when Jared and I say, the safety's off. Everybody is subject to death, and we will make sure that you've brought this consequence upon yourself.
Yeah, when players do really crazy things, I think, for example, you used the example of, putting 3,000 pounds of explosives on a railroad track to derail the train. I've run into that. I've encountered it. There's 2 things I would handle that with. This is just an example. One, train tracks aren't cheap. A lot of money on railroads. A lot of money getting delayed. Railroad company hires the Pinkertons. Pinkertons are known for always getting their man. And they were bad men. They would come for you with everything. Of course, that's just in the confines of this example. And then, secondly, what I love to use is the moral conflict. Yeah, we used 3,000 pounds to derail a train that was carrying a ton of money. How about the men, women, and children that were on that train as passengers?
Again,
how do those players feel when they hear the screams coming from the locomotive?
I love that in that you're trying to again. We've spoken about consequences so many times before in previous podcasts. The idea is that you are trying to drive consequences early and often to prevent bad behavior in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the point. So again, if your players do this, yes, heavy consequences. And Jared's right. It's always good to tug on moral conundrums.
Love tugging on moral.
That was something that you had in your Scion game.
Yes.
For the other group. Had they chosen the bad ending, which I was like 80% sure they were going to choose the bad ending.
I was 90% sure they were going to choose the bad ending.
Had they chosen that ending, boy, the ending that you wrote just felt dejecting and just like terrible. And
you want to be bad guys, you need to feel like a bad guy.
It felt bad. Like you really made that choice there. Like had they chosen to go the bad route, that it would have really been bad.
Consequences, it's here's the thing, we're in role playing. We are still playing. I don't want to say human beings because sometimes you're playing like a alien race, or
you're playing a half orc, you're playing a dragonborn, you're playing all sorts of things.
But all these are intelligent creatures with, so to speak, a soul.
The real thing that's really behind it is that the people behind the characters are human.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can
use that to your advantage.
Again, when you play on emotions, you're not playing on the character's emotions. You're always playing on the player's emotions.
It's like poker.
Yes. You're actually not when you're trying to create emotional scenes, you aren't trying to create emotional scenes for the characters. You're trying to create emotional scenes for the players.
Yes.
Okay? And that's always a weird thing when you're trying to split what you're trying to do for the players versus the characters. And so when you're trying to get players to act in character, they're still behind that character, and thus you kind of have this dual personality. You have the fronted personality in the character that you're playing to, but you're always trying to crush Jared, scare Jared, whatever you're trying to do to elicit those emotions. Again, we have another really good podcast on that as well. But your point is really well taken in that I wouldn't do that, and Jared wouldn't do that. And so, again, we're not trying to be like the puppet masters here and get everybody to do exactly what we want them
God,
to.
no.
We're trying to we're just putting up the rails, and they're really gentle rails. Like you can break through them if you wanted to.
Yeah, and that's my thing. That's the balance that I always talk about. Player, and I guess that leads us back to our original topic of Fate versus Destiny.
Yes.
It does, but gentle rails, and Aaron's right. If that horse is gonna bust through that fence, it's gonna bust through that fence. And at that point, I'm wondering what's going on with my fence, or what am I doing to piss off that horse that it left the corral.
Yeah, but I would never try to re-corral them if they've busted through the fences. If they busted through the fences, that means that they've already broken the constraints that you kind of wanted in your game. And at that point, it really depends on how far out they go.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they bust the fence and then burn down the world, yeah. I mean, like, I've shut down games for that.
If they bust the fence and run to Beirut, okay, like we're done.
We're done.
Okay. If they bust the fence and then they bust through it and they look back at you and you're like, do you want to come back? And they're like, all right. And they walk back in, like, okay, I might let him slide.
I might take them out. I might get on my horse and try to wrangle them back in if they're reasonable. But if they haul ass to Beirut, no. Yeah. No, I'm not doing it.
But I just wanted to comment on your email. We should have sent you at this point a reply for it. And again, sorry for the delays. And if anyone's writing in right now and we're not replying right away, it's because just super busy right now. Again, we're recording these ahead of my wedding here. And then we're off for like 2 weeks. So, we'll get back to it. I'll make sure after the wedding, I should be able to answer a lot of that. And again, I started a new job too. So like there's a bunch of things going on.
Aaron started a new job, getting married. Jared's just dealing with the same shit of his old job.
Yes. The destiny. Ha! See, this is how we bring us back on track. But thanks, Chris. And then I'm going to talk about this episode topic here. Gary, you wrote in as well for an episode suggestion about the Fate system. Unfortunately, Jared and I don't have any experience with the Fate system.
Sorry, bro.
What I can do, though, is I can talk to you about Fate and Destiny in games and different ways that we've used them kind of intertwined, and that's what we're
The
gonna
fate
do.
system has nothing to do with fate.
Yes, yes. But here we are.
But you know what? We were like, hey, we like the word fate. Why don't we talk about fate and destiny? So this is your, I guess, substitute prize. We couldn't offer you anything about the system, so we'll talk about fate in general.
This is your consolation prize.
Yeah, there
Sorry.
we go. That was the word I was looking for. The consolation prize.
It might not be the one you were looking for, but you know what? This is what you got. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, bro. Hey, at least consolation prize.
We hope the episode is interesting, though, and you did spawn an episode topic.
There you go.
And we'll do a little research on the fate system and see if we can offer our 2 cents on it. So.
Okay. I mean, I don't even know what like game it goes to.
We'll look it up, Gary. We'll mark it.
Mark that.
Put that in the hopper. We'll look it up. See if we can help you
come
out.
back 3 weeks later. We're like, you're insane for playing this. Only a madman would play this game.
14-sided dice.
My God, we did not think it was done by physics.
So anyways, we're going to talk about Fate and Destiny here in this episode. And I spoke about it at the beginning there. Jared hates Fate and Destiny in games. Actually, White Wolf has a merit, Fate and Destiny, for, I think, werewolves and vampires.
Yeah.
You despise Fate
it.
and Destiny. It goes right along with that's one of the merits.
I hate when players take it. I hate when it's brought up.
You almost hate it as much as you hate Amnesia.
Amnesia, I really fucking hate because I always feel like it's a player going, here, make up my fucking background.
Let's shave. Let's shelve Amnesia.
And
we'll talk about Amnesia in a whole different episode.
Amnesia and the lazy player. That's what we'll title that one. Welcome to the story of Amnesia and the lazy player. Okay, so Destiny and Fate. Everyone might go, Jared, why do you hate Destiny? My God, man, what's wrong with Destiny? I can bring this back to one solid point in my life. I think it's interesting. Like you reflect on your life and you're like, where did I grow this hatred? And the only thing I can do, and Aaron's probably gonna laugh, is because all I can do is a sound to really emphasize. Dun 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 dun. Come on, that's from.
Is that Inception?
Oh my God, that's Terminator.
Terminator. Okay.
So Terminator. No fate but what we make.
Got it. Okay. Really? That's where you get.
No fate but what we make. No, but T2. It was
the entire
part of my
entire
childhood.
Terminator series is about the destiny of Skynet
Only the
taking over.
shitty after effects. Okay, because let's admit it. Terminator 1, fantastic. Terminator 2, actually better than the first. Didn't think it was possible. You know what? I could debate that one forever because I love T1 because it scares me. Horror. But T3, Rise of the Machines, get some no. And then after that, just I would rather cut off my arm than watch half of those. Like the one where they brought in Doctor Who. Matt something.
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, there was one that Doctor Who was the villain. And I'm like, that's Doctor Who. I'm sorry, he's the Doctor. He's not Skynet. No, a lot of them were really bad. But, okay, so why does Jared rally against Destiny? Okay. One, because a false perception to the storyteller in the end. And it's actually just something we just talked about, the corral. Now you're putting up these iron fucking gates, with spikes on them that say, ye shall go in this direction and ye shall do this.
That is very true. It's very directional.
It is.
The other thing that I hate about it is that Destiny in a lot of games, like in White Wolf in particular, the merit means that you are destined for something great.
I can't guarantee that.
which is almost like if you were going to play it to a T, because it costs so many points to get, like, the GM can't kill you unless it's like some crazy thing.
It's such bullshit.
It's such crap because it shoehorns the story in a direction.
And so many storytellers, more inexperienced storytellers, will get wrapped up in that merit. I've got 6 players at my table. One of them picked Destiny. Guess what? I look at Destiny and go, oh my God, this is a huge opportunity to bring in players to add to my story. They look at it as an add-on, right? Well, then they start coming up with that stuff, and let's say even 10%, right, of my story now becomes about this Destiny. 10% of your entire story just got dedicated to one fucking player. Why don't you just write him a goddamn love letter?
The other thing that I don't particularly like about Destiny, in that actually goes into this point, is a lot of players will choose it as a lazy background piece, meaning that you're effectively put on more of the hook to create out why this character is more important than they should be.
It's bullshit.
And it's sort of a lazy character development piece, in my opinion.
It is, because it's saying, dear storyteller, make my character awesome, because I'm destined to do something great.
And I can't, there's only so much I can do.
I banned it. It's one of my banned merits, I do believe.
There'd be only so much that I could do at that point, which would be like, I can't make you, great. I mean, it's like that what is it? I forgot the name of, like, how you would phrase this story. Like a story, it's about like the person, like, who's like, God, please save me, like in the ocean drowning.
Oh yeah, I love that story.
Yeah, and
do you want me to tell that story? Because I know it's in entirety. Okay, so there's a man standing on a roof. The floodwaters are rising, right? So as he's going there, he kneels to pray and he goes to God. God, please save me from the waters of the flood, so I may not drown. So first, somebody comes up in a little rowboat. Guy says, hop in and I will save you. The man looks back and says, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. Little man in the rowboat goes on. Next, guy in a motorboat comes up, pulls up, and he says, jump in, I will save you. Guy goes, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. Guy shrugs his shoulders and motors on out. Then a helicopter comes up, right, shines its light, drops its ladder, and they say, jump in, climb up, we will save you. And he goes, no, I'm waiting for God. So the helicopter flies off. Guy, eventually the floodwaters keep going and he drowns. Gets up to the pearly gates, goes to see St. Peter, goes straight to God. He said, God, I was a faithful man. I showed my love, and I never did wrong, and I prayed to you. And in my moment of need, right, the time that I needed you to save me, where were you? God looks at him and goes, I sent you a rowboat, a motorboat, and a helicopter. What else did you want?
Again, that story, that little allegory, it's an allegory, right?
I wasn't an English teacher. I was a history teacher.
Got it. Okay. If you know the difference,
you know the difference,
you let me know. But that always sort of reminds me of sort of the fate thing, which is, Jared's right. You make your own fate in a game. You don't just, otherwise you are subject to the crappy fate that is your untimely death. Okay?
Well, it's like, here's my thing. Unfortunately, I have a very dim outlook. You can't tell where that bullet's going to snap. You know what I mean? Let's say my characters are in a firefight, right? And he just rolls a crappy dodge roll and he's been acting stupid, so I'm going to tax that ass because he's been acting stupid, right? Mm-hmm. And I roll a great roll, he rolled a crappy roll, bam, I'm going to take you. Because you were like, I'm going to stand up and fire my belt-fed gun without having any cover, even though there's a sniper. I'm going to take you. And then the player always comes at me, I had Destiny. You stood up when there was a sniper and decided to make yourself the largest target on the battlefield. Your destiny is null and void. Destiny cannot overcome stupidity. Okay? It's preposterous to put it on and make it incumbent upon a storyteller to one, rescue you from your own stupidity at every moment to ensure that your merit, right, makes a difference, or makes, even when, if you don't have merits in D&D, when they're like, my character background, which was 27 pages long, and you said I got 5 experience for it, and you said it was a good idea when I was saying I was destined to do something great. You said it was a great idea and you'd add it to your story. I still can't stop you when you decided to charge headlong into a gang of 25 fucking orcs with clubs.
It looked great.
I mean, Destiny looked at you and said, sorry, bro, I'm out. I can't. No, I don't care if there's a goddess of Destiny. She's like, you just got beaten to death by a group of orcs. Maybe next time I should have picked somebody else for this Destiny. Maybe, never know.
I must find a new champion.
Shit. Oh, sorry, they couldn't hear that. There we go. But no, it's the idea of a destiny and fate, and then you're also locking yourself into a story. You're locking yourself into one singular path. This group was brought together to overcome the Shadow King, right? What if 6 months down the road you hate this story? This story is goddamn lame. And you know what? The players have been in this port town for a long time. They've heard a lot of stories about this, Alakabar, right? And they want to get on a boat to Alakabar. And you're like, man, I kind of ended up making this beautiful story about Alakabar, right? And I'm kind of excited to explore that different culture. We have that cultural mismatch of them being kind of European culture, and then they're coming to this place with the Middle Eastern culture, and it's going to be a fun time. And it's a great story. Oh my God, I even have an idea for 7 gods that they will defeat and become stronger. What about the Shadow King? They were supposed to defeat the Shadow King.
They were destined to do that.
And then I know somebody's gonna come back and say, well, go do Alagabar and then come back to the Shadow King. No, I'm going with the hypothetical thing, and it's happened to me. It's happened to me so many times. I have apologized to my friends for dropping games. What happens when you hate that fucking story? You look at it 6 months later, you're like, that's drivel, and you throw your papers to the floor. It's drivel. And you can't stand it because you can find yourself in. You've roped yourself in. You've said it's destiny. This story is about one thing. No, stories aren't about destinies. They're not. It's about the people that fulfill a destiny, whether or not by accident or providence or, it's not about the journey. It's about the person taking on the journey. Because if I told you the story of the Odyssey and said, well, first the Odyssey is going to start off here, and then it's going to go and there's going to be an island with a Cyclops, and then they're going to go and there's going to be an island with a mermaid, and then there's going to be an island or a giant I forget the chasm one, right? And I told you that's the story. I'm telling you about the journey. This is what's going to happen on this journey. Doesn't sound very appeasing as compared to reading the Odyssey, which is the story about Odysseus and his crew on the journey. It's like writing a story about, your Google directions rather than writing about the story about what happened in the car. That should be what's going on. That should be the central focus. The people in the car. I could make a movie about 2 people sitting in a fucking car. Right? Just talking. Hell, I'm sure some art film person has done it. Right? Wasn't great, but I'm sure that it was fine. You know what? Whatever. But my cat just got her ass kicked by another cat. Well, well, that's what happens when you mess with the old grumpy cat. You get your butt kicked. So one of the things that you might say, it is about the journey. No, it's about when you're focusing only on the road or you're focusing on the destiny, right? It takes up so much focus, I feel. When you're focused on that destiny, on that journey, I want them to hit plot point A, B, C, and D, and you forget about the characters. It's so easy, and that's why it's so risky to focus a story on a destiny. Because what happens when your players all get capped? You can't even write a good freaking ending for that. Like let's say there's a party wipe, and, you had your little sheet because you knew that it was possible you might have a party wipe. So here's my epilogue. And in the epilogue it says, though they valiantly tried, they all died. And then everyone goes, weren't we destined to kill the Shadow King by like the 6 prophets of Algebra? Oh, yeah.
You were.
You were. I guess the 6 prophets were wrong. Must have been another group they were talking about, who were all born with the birthmark of the wolf. What? It just leads to,
prophecies are weird like that. I mean, wolf, cantaloupe. I mean,
yeah, all of you will be born with the birthmark of the cantaloupe. I think it's more of a crescent moon. No, it is a piece of cantaloupe. But it draws so much from the story. Stories are about characters and how they interact with the plot points that come along the way. That should always be our driving force. It should be our players. They should be in the spotlight, not our stories. Our stories help craft the players. It gives them exciting adventures to bounce ideas off of, to examine morality, to examine ethics, because ethics and morality are 2 different things. I learned that in an ethics class. What is ethical is not always moral. What is moral is not always ethical. Ha! See, I paid attention in school. Or is it legal? Shit. Maybe I didn't pay attention in school. Okay. Too drunk. But you're looking at what is man overcoming, nature. You're looking at these larger visions or these larger parts. And when you have smaller stories that encompass along the way, it really makes quite a tremendous adventure. You know what I mean? I mean, even if it's part of a larger campaign, they're traveling up to kill the Shadow King. If it's not always about the Shadow King, if it's not always about a destiny, and that's the problem, is this destiny is this dark fucking cloud above me as I walk and try to get these players through a journey that I'm always fucking worried about that it might rain. Just get rid of that shit. Why do they need a destiny to kill the Shadow King? Why wouldn't it just be cool to learn that 6 people who met at a bar killed the Shadow King? Why did it have to be destined? Why did it have to be preordained? Doesn't it take away something to say that, oh no, you know what, you were destined to do it. You were chosen by a god to kill the Shadow King. Well, was it because the god chose me, or is it because, I'm just a good person and I'm a hero, and that's what heroes do. So suddenly another thing, the motivation is no longer intrinsic; it's external. We must kill the Shadow King because one of the 7 dwarven gods, Mordor, or the one with the M, Morden, the dwarven god Morden said, "You will go and murder the Shadow King." Okay, boss, I'm gonna get paid, and trust me, you will get that reaction as a storyteller. You will literally get people being like, "Cool, my character asked if he gets paid. Do we get money, booze, women?" No, Morden simply says, "Go and kill it." Why am I engaging on this? Are you fucking kidding me? Morden tells me that I was born with the cantaloupe birthmark, so now I've got to go kill a Shadow King for no money, no booze, no women or men, whatever you're free to love and enjoy. What? That's stupid. Fuck you. I'm going to go become a fisherman, at least to get money. Why all you guys are walking away with your half chopped off arms and you're like, well, we're fucking glorious. Yes, well, do you have a house and a 401k? Zzz. That's me reeling on a fish.
So, love all those points because I agree with everything that you just ranted on for about 20 minutes.
Was that a rant for 20 minutes? Yeah.
About. If you're listening to this and you're going like,
Jared,
but Jared, but Aaron, I really want to do Destiny.
Then do it!
How are some ways that I could do Destiny well? Okay? I'll give you a couple here. Okay, Jared, one of the points that Jared brought up is don't preordain your Destiny. Okay? In the epilogue, if you want to bring up Destiny, then you can. Because the players have already done it. Okay?
It's true.
All right? So the players then are now... they've done it, and you could be like, and you were destined to do that. And you can make some crazy tie-in back to the beginning of the game. Okay,
you can set up plot points along the game that are small and not very visible that would make it make sense at the end.
Because you have done some interesting Destiny stuff, but you did it.
No, because the end of Elders, you were never destined to do what you did.
No, but you did create an identical Grand Clave to Brian's that my father or some like ancient line of my people had as well. So there was an element of Destiny in there, but we were already at the end of the game.
That's true.
Yeah. So you see, you can do it. You just have to do it at the end. Okay? Nothing is destined until you know it's going to happen.
Until that horse race is over, you don't want to mention that it was dusted.
But once the horse race is over, you go, that was destiny. I knew that was going to happen.
I called that shit from the beginning.
You can then claim destiny, and no one's the wiser. I mean, people might yell bullshit, but, no one's the wiser.
And that's why you can do the small little scenes that may get one to think that it might be destiny. Like, every 7 games, we see a woman completely dressed in white with a small halo over her head, always staring at us from a distance. Every time we try to talk to her, she walks behind a building and vanishes, or walks behind a tree and vanishes.
A good game that we did it wasn't Destiny, but because of how you kept introducing her in Shattered Sphere, you kept introducing Bethany, and our characters felt as though they were destined to save her. Or that they were directly tied to her fate. Okay? And that was because she kept appearing. Mm-hmm. Right? It had nothing to do with that you would set it up that we were supposed to save her or something. Actually, at the beginning of it, I don't think you even knew what you wanted us to do.
No, because I was high on painkillers.
But you had her continue to pop up, and that makes character motivations to say, like, that must be somebody important. We must do something to protect or help that person.
It was a very quiet way of being like, save the princess. It was very quiet. She just kept popping up and like...
There was no task that you are destined to do so. It was, but we sort of felt as though I think that everybody sort of felt like that was our call to our characters, and thus our destiny.
But did I ever have to say it?
You never said it, but if you can make the characters believe that's their destiny, like that must be what they must do.
And that's better because it's an intrinsic. I never told you that Bethany was your destiny or that she was even fucking important. You guys took it on your own accord. You guys made the mission. I didn't.
One other way that you can use destiny in your game, if you so wish to use destiny. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this, and these are different systems of gameplay. Number one, you can do something a la 7th Sea, which you can give drama dice. Okay, drama dice effectively let you add dice to your dice pool. So you're sort of skewing the outcome in your favor. It's not specifically destiny-based. You could do something kind of like the Charmed Existence merit in White Wolf, but destiny could be something more broad and more impactful. Meaning you get 3 like dramatic events that you can sort of change, okay, before like your luck runs out, your destiny's over. Okay, meaning you are destined to get somewhere because by dint of the story, again, depending on the story you're telling, maybe the players are, defeat the Shadow King. Okay, maybe that's their call. Maybe that they feel that that's what they need to do, and they do it. Okay, maybe the players go off to Alakabar, like Jared said, and that's their story, and they become really great merchants and shopkeepers. I don't know. Okay, could be their destiny, but somebody has the destiny background, merit, whatever it is, wrote it into their backstory or whatever, you might say, okay, I'm going to give you 3 major events that you can sort of alter here as sort of dramatic edits. Okay. Again, you play with this, you do what's comfortable for you. Okay. But what that then does is it gives the benefit where I don't have to come up with your destiny, but I am saying that you are important enough that, like, should you decide to do something completely stupid, like stand up in the middle of the firefight, okay, one time you can undo that problem. Okay, 1 time or like 2 times you can undo that problem. 3 times, sorry, son, it's all over. All right. All right.
Destiny said I chose the wrong champion.
Yes, Destiny goes, I chose the wrong champion. I gave you not once, but twice. The 3rd time, sorry, can't help you.
Sorry, can't help you.
We're done. So that's another way that you could maybe implement it if you really want to do that. I've brought up the hybrid game system with ETA points as well. That is a heavily influenced system based upon, it's not Destiny, but it's based on dramatic edits. And that's sort of like a way to interject Destiny into your games, meaning that your players are editing your story to mold towards their destiny. It's not you putting their destiny together. It's making sure that they get to the next scene. Okay? And so to the extent that you want to allow that into your game, play with it. Otherwise, if you're like us, don't really like the Destiny sort of thing, you want to sprinkle in little scenes here and there, so at the end of it you can kind of cleverly be like, and you were destined to do it all along. Like, you can do that, okay? And I have no problems with that at the end of the game, okay? Because at the end of the game, you know what? There's something wonderful in that epilogue when you hear, like, and you were destined to do it all along, like, high five. Okay, it's like the robot. It's almost like putting a cherry on top of a sundae. Sometimes I'm not saying do it all the time.
See, I don't see it as cherry. I flick that cherry right off.
But to say at the beginning that you were destined to do it, and then you hit the end there, again, it just makes for a super linear game or a very focused game, because you have to get your players to that end then. Otherwise, you're sort of promising the wrong promise.
Never tell them at the beginning that they're destined.
Don't promise at the beginning. Make them think that you had that promise all along at the end. Okay, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
If you want to use Destiny.
Yeah. Just don't make Destiny. Okay. When looking at Destiny,
I'm kind of giving you some things to mull on. Okay.
I'm gonna give some things to mull on, even though I personally would say fuck Destiny. All right, no faith, but what we make. Sarah Connor taught me this at a young age. Okay. Dun 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 dun. But if you are going to incorporate Destiny, make sure that the Destiny is vague. Who is going to take out the Shadow King? Never deal in numbers, okay? Because, like, the 6 heroes who would rise up against the Shadow King.
We just spoke about that.
We just talked about it in the last episode, and now I even have a better example of rather than somebody leaving, what happens when you make a new friend who's like, I want to play the 7 heroes.
Little did the 6 heroes know that there is actually a 7th.
Who would join them later.
Wink, wink. We had these prophecies. They're pretty.
When you make a prophecy, make sure it's vague. Look at most prophecies, or 2000 the prophecy. The Mayan calendar ends. The whole world's gonna end. Okay, how? I don't know. Because they're bombs, computer virus. Plague?
What if you're wrong? Well, some crazy guy said it somewhere.
Some guy said it. So just make sure that it's vague, like, if it says that the holders of the 7 swords of Quabash or something like that will kill the Shadow King, and the characters are supposed to pick up all 7 swords as they go along. It doesn't say that you guys would be holding the swords. It just says that the wielders of the 7 swords. Maybe the first game, they all die in a party wipe and like, well, now the swords are collected at one location. So the next group of people can pick it up and be like, hey, we didn't have to search the 7 seas.
You were destined to collect the 7 swords and put them in one location and then die most horribly.
And then die screaming. Holy shit. Our destiny sucked.
You fulfilled your destiny excellently. Now the other 7 people.
Well, and you can create an epilogue out of that, and bring some light to a party wipe. 10 years later, 5 adventurers, noble of heart, wandered into the cave where you died screaming. Defeated the dragon that
murdered you
most horribly. And then picked up the 7 swords. Where would their journey take them? That's up for you, or whatever, however you want to end that. Okay, mind you, all right, just for our listeners to understand, I write really well. I don't talk off the cuff really well. As one of my bosses told me, literally, this is one of my bosses. He goes, Jared, writing is your strong suit. Keep your fucking mouth shut.
Again, listen to the epilogue episode. I think that you'll hear the epilogue, go, oh, wow, that's actually pretty decent writing, even though that was Jared.
That was Jared in high school.
Yeah, that was you in high school. Again, you've grown wiser.
I'm very pleased with my writing nowadays. I mean, granted, I only write for 2 things: business and role playing. I don't write any books. I don't try to do that. I see myself as not that talented.
You also have to write for what you're passionate for.
Exactly.
So, again, you have to write for business because that's your job, and then you write for role playing because you're passionate about it.
That's my hobby. Okay. Jared says fuck Destiny. But some of you might want to bring Destiny in, and if you're a masochist, I suppose you can. No, I'm kidding. If you want to bring in Destiny, you can absolutely bring in Destiny. Just be smart about your Destiny. Introduce it, as Aaron said. One way to do it is at the end. And you can put in points that might lead someone to believe that they're destined. You could do that. You could, but be vague. Be
avoid the pitfall of the Destiny forcing players to be alive, stay alive, do stupid crap, be alive at the end of it. Avoid those pitfalls.
Avoid. Terrain. Pull up.
Excellent. Is there anything else you want to add to this one, Jared?
No, I'm satisfied.
Okay. Well, Gary, this isn't the episode you asked for, but it's the episode you got. But we do appreciate you listening. We'll actually look into the Fate system and see if we can offer our couple 2 cents, something like that. But anyways, it's gonna if you like the episode, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. No, we're not gonna be part of the metaverse, but we are on Facebook nonetheless.
Yeah, they're gonna build a metaverse. Sure.
And and we're also on YouTube if you like YouTube. All of our episodes are there. They usually come out anywhere between a day to a week later. It depends on how lazy I am uploading them to YouTube.
How lazy you are.
But they always come up before the next episode, so you can reach us there. But anyways, you can use any of those means to contact us, give us episode suggestions like Gary did, and maybe we'll actually stick to one that you give us. So anyways, review, subscribe to the podcast if you're not already done that, and recommend it to a friend. Word of mouth is great. So anyways, that's going to wrap us up for this week. For Jared.
Hold on.
But
you're destined to smash that like button. See, now you have to do it.
There we go. I didn't even give Jared the opportunity. That's
you dick.
Well, you see, again, this is going back to the episode on Destiny. I don't actually give you the opportunity to. Anyways, I'm gonna.
It's terrible.
Anyways, that's gonna wrap us up for the week. So, for Jared, I'm Aaron. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great week, everyone.